Atom is the optimizer nearly everyone reaches for, and it works because it adapts a learning rate for each parameter on its own. But it has a real blind spot. It treats every parameter as if it were completely independent, and it never once looks at how they move together during training. Today we're looking at Shampoo, an optimizer from Gupta, Koren, and Singer that fixes exactly that blind spot, and that recently went on to win a major training efficiency benchmark by doing so. The whole idea sits in the gap between these two pictures of what an optimizer should pay attention to. Atom maintains a single scalar learning rate for each parameter and tunes it from that parameter's own gradient history. Simple and cheap, but because the rates are independent, Atom is effectively blind to how any two parameters correlate as they change together. It optimizes each dimension in isolation, as if the others weren't there. Shampoo maintains small preconditioner matrices instead of lone scalars. Those matrices capture the curvature of the lost surface and the correlations across dimensions. So the step accounts for how parameters interact, not just how big each gradient is. In spirit, it's a second-order idea made affordable enough to actually run on large models. Several properties really define what Shampoo is and how it behaves in practice. Preconditioners built from a Kronecker factorization. A full curvature matrix over a big weight tensor would be astronomically large, so Shampoo approximates it with a Kronecker-factored form, essentially two much smaller factors, which keeps both memory and compute tractable at real, production model sizes. Fewer, but heavier steps. Because each update carries curvature information, Shampoo tends to converge in noticeably fewer iterations than Atom, though every single step costs more to compute. It deliberately trades many cheap steps for fewer, much smarter ones, and on the right hardware that trade comes out ahead. Proven at the benchmark level, distributed Shampoo won the 2024 AlgoPerf training efficiency competition, a head-to-head test of who can train a model fastest to a fixed quality, which is strong evidence that the extra cost per step actually pays off in wall clock terms. Trace a single Shampoo step, and you can see exactly where that curvature information enters. Everything begins with the gradient of a weight matrix, the very same signal Atom would use. Nothing about the backward pass changes at all. The entire difference lives in what Shampoo chooses to do with that gradient next. Shampoo updates a left preconditioner factor, a small matrix that summarizes curvature along the rows of the weight. Rather than store one giant full matrix, it maintains this compact factor and quietly refreshes it as training proceeds, keeping the running cost manageable. Alongside it, Shampoo updates a right preconditioner factor for the columns. Together, the left and right factors form the Kronecker-factored approximation, capturing correlations in both directions of the weight without the full matrix cost. Finally, the preconditioner is applied to the gradient, and the model takes its step. That multiplication is what reshapes the raw gradient into a curvature-aware direction. And it's why a single Shampoo step does noticeably more work, and often more useful work, than a single Atom step. Let's gather the essentials together into 4 clean, memorable takeaways. Shampoo is a preconditioned optimizer that captures curvature and correlations Atom ignores, because Atom only keeps a scalar rate per parameter. It stays tractable by approximating the preconditioner with a Kronecker factorization, a left factor for rows and a right factor for columns. Convergence comes in fewer iterations, though each step costs more, and distributed Shampoo won the 2024 AlgoPerf benchmark. It is also the conceptual ancestor of newer optimizers like Muon and SOAP, so understanding it makes the whole family easier to follow. Want the rest of that lineage explained in plain language? You'll find it waiting for you over at Standarity.com.